All right, Ray and Gino, here we are, guys, ready to talk NBA overlay. Ray and Gino would be the two guys who comment daily listening for the NBA overlay stuff. We'll hit you up for some NFL member first thoughts soon. We will continue to talk about some of the cool things overlay has going. And specifically, I don't know how much you've dabbled yet, but I'm really starting to play a lot of this stuff in the matchup shop. We'll go through the progressive tournaments here quickly, but this is just picking your favorite individual plays for the day. Like Tyler Hero, -2.5 against Duncan Robinson. Give me some Tyler Hero right there.
Yeah, for sure. I'm actually really hyped on the jackpot though. Like that's my goal tonight. So I'm going to be playing in the Big 22 and trying to take that down.
Well, it's very cool, but I mean, you should do that because then you can win $6,380, which I'm sure you wouldn't mind that.
I would not mind that one bit.
All right, Kawhi Leonard versus Nikola the Joker Jokic. Give me Kawhi Leonard here. I like Jokic too, but I like Leonard better.
Okay, I'm with you there.
All right. Next up, we got Paul George against Jamal Murray. Battle of who fades more in Game 7s. Two guys who typically in Game 7s fold like a cheap suit. I don't know about this one. What do you think here?
I like Paul George here. I think a lot of his struggles in the playoffs have been overblown, and I like the Clippers, so I'll take Paul George. I actually like it a lot.
Really? Okay. I do not like this one. These two have a combined shooting percentage in Game 7s of about 2. So I'm sure either one of them could easily win this one. This is probably like the last one I want to pick.
How many Game 7s have they each played? Do you know?
Well, Murray, this will be his 4th one because this is Denver's 4th straight series with the Game 7, and he's come up small in all of them. They read through Paul George's numbers in Game 7s, and he's got like 8 or 9 of them, and he's shooting about 10%. So I don't like either of these guys tonight personally, but
I feel like you've been so hard on Paul George this playoffs, but you know who he's averaging the exact same amount of fantasy points per minute as?
Jimmy Butler?
Bam.
Bam?
Yep.
I will take Bam, maybe not from a fantasy perspective, but I like the way Bam plays in the playoffs better, that's for sure.
I don't disagree with that, but the numbers are the numbers,
Definitely. I don't want to pick this one. I'm going to go with Murray just to be different than you, but honestly, I could easily change my mind on that one by the end of the day.
I got it.
And I shouldn't make my decisions just to fight with you.
Welcome to the club.
All right, Jimmy Butler versus Bam. I like both guys today, but I'm going to take Butler in this game, although there's going to be some games in this series I'm going to pick Bam over Butler. Just game 1, give me Jimmy.
Yeah, I like Jimmy also. We agree on this one.
All right. Brown versus Kemba. This is easy for me, Jaylen Brown.
This is easy for me, Kemba.
Kemba, Jaylen. All right. Next up, Goran Dragic versus Marcus Smart. I'm going to take Dragic, although very similar. There are games in this series where I will pick Smart over Dragic.
I'm not really too interested in picking it. I lean Dragic, but probably won't pick it.
I just like Dragic being rested. If there's a team that is bad today, I could see it being Boston. That was a dogfight they just went through. Now, they've had enough days off, and I do like how hard they play that. I don't expect them to look like the Nuggets game 1 against the Clippers. But if there was a team to get rolled today, that would be my nominee.
They haven't played since, Friday? So I think they're fine.
I think so, too.
If I had to pick a team to get rolled today, it would be Denver for sure. So I'm going to take – yeah, I mean, we didn't even talk about one yet. But, yeah, that's how I feel.
Crowder versus Thies? Give me Thies. Thies is more needed in this series. Crowder is a great person to play against the Bucks because they need his size, so he plays big minutes. But also the Bucks leave open secondary shooters, which is why Drake Crowder looked like the second coming of Ray Allen and Steph Curry's love child last series.
Yes, he did. Yeah, this is an easy one. Give me Thies.
All right. Michael Porter Jr. versus Lou Williams. Man, Lou has just not been himself. I'm going to bet on him today. I feel like this is a spot for him to play well, but I say that with very little conviction. Ever since he got this best nickname in sports, Lemon Pepper Lou, he has just not looked like himself.
I feel like this is a trap. Lou seems like the obvious pick here, but why? I don't know.
Full career of being really good. I'm with you. Like, it seems like an obvious pick, and I don't trust Michael Porter Jr. here either. But Lou Williams has been very, very lackluster in the playoffs. Now, I'm going to give him some credit to play better here, and I feel like they need him. And if they, they're going to need his offense at some point in this game, but I don't trust him.
He had that one great game against Dallas. That when like Luka was going off, one of the games Luka went off, and then he also played pretty well in game 2 of this series, but he didn't do it much fantasy wise. Man, I'm like really starting to think I might go Porter here.
I think that'd be a good way to be a little different. That could be your one pick that separates you.
For sure.
All right, Tyler Hero versus Marcus Morrison. Give me Tyler Hero.
With you, 100%.
Big Hero fan. All right. Jeremy Grant versus Zubac. What are these guys going to do? Combine for 3 total shots tonight since all the stars are going to take over? Give me Zubac for the rebounding.
Yeah, I'm with you. Give me Zubac as well.
Millsap versus Harris. Harris. More minutes.
Harris.
Monty Morris versus Iggy. I kind of like Morris today. Give me Monty Morris.
Sweet. Let's ride.
Yeah, Monty Morris's best game in the playoffs, Game 7 against Utah.
Love that.
All right. Montrezl Harrell versus Pat Bev. Ugh. Beverly, I guess.
Yeah, Beverly.
All right. Williams versus Olynyk. I'll take Olynyk. I like what he does. It's interesting to see what both of these teams do with these guys in this first game. Because Williams could be a DNP, possibly. Maybe they don't think they need his size as much, so they go with Canner. Maybe both of these guys barely play, but I'll go with Olynyk. They both put up good fantasy points when they're out there, but this is just a question of who's going to get more run.
So I'm going to go Olynyk also, and a guy that actually got the run over Robert Williams in the last game is a guy like the last guy on the overlay. So, and I like him too, and that's Grant Williams, which we'll get to.
The other Williams, right?
Yep.
JaMychal Green versus Torrey Craig. It's a tough one. I'm going to go with JaMychal Green. He's a slightly better fantasy player when he's out there, and he did get some extra run last game as they were desperately searching for any way to try to stop Jokic. Not saying he did a great job because nobody really did, but they're looking for anything they can come up with to stop the Joker.
I'm surprised you don't like this one more because I like this one a lot.
Well, it's still JaMychal Green. I mean,
sure,
I'm never going to come in with a ton of conviction. Like, JaMychal Green, you got to play him, guys.
Yeah, I'm with you, but it's Torrey Craig also in the same regard.
Yeah, I can see that point of the argument. I'll usually come in with anybody against Torrey Craig type of argument.
Yeah, exactly. So you gave some buying signs about Green earlier in the week. I'm going to go Green with Green.
All right, Green for the green. Shamet versus Wanamaker. Shamet.
Yeah, I like Shamet too. It's not one I'm dying to pick, but honestly, you have to pick every one except one.
All right, Plumlee versus Grant. Okay. Plumlee versus Grant Williams. It sounds like you like Grant Williams here.
I do. Got the run over Robert Williams. Who knows if that will happen again? But if it does, I think he'll play more than Plumlee. Plumlee will get a little bit of run here because they like him, but not a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I think Plumlee plays about 10 minutes tonight, right? Like he's gonna spell Jokic for a little bit. They might even be on this court the same together for a couple minutes, but really he's not going to be out there a lot. You play your best players in Game 7. I have no idea what they're going to do with Grant Williams tonight. I'd love to tell you I have an opinion. I just don't. I don't know what's going through Coach Stevens' mind tonight. He played some matchups last series, which is why he's a good coach. I have no clue what they're doing.
I'm excited to watch that series, though. 2 very good teams.
I think it goes 7. And if the Clippers win tonight, I think that one goes 7. So I think we are set for some really good quality NBA basketball playoffs coming up here, which, you know, it's hard for me to be as into it right now with the Bucks out of it, and also knowing that DFS is not as interesting, especially if they do split up the series a little bit. But it should be some excellent real-life basketball.
Yeah, agreed. I am starting more to think that the Clippers just roll tonight, though.
I can see that. They should.
They should. They've been up huge in the past 2 games and haven't been able to close out. So clearly they can get up big on Denver, which they've done most of the games of the series. I struggle to see them getting up like a 20-point lead here and blowing it in Game 7. I mean, they just did it in Game 5 and 6, though, so who the hell knows?
I mean, they've been blowing leads all playoffs, and I'm with you. Like, I mean, my brain is sitting here telling you, like, why would Denver be in this game? Denver shouldn't even be in this series, but they are.
Exactly. I'm with you. Like the logical way to think is like Denver has no shot here. Like, but they're at a game 7. I mean, of course
You
they have a
know,
shot.
and this is where, like, I know your favorite part about this, a lot of this stuff is the intangibles. There's something missing with the intangibles of the LA Clippers because
Yes.
on paper, they're the best team in the NBA. And it's really, for in my honest opinion, even hard to make that argument. There has so much depth, but like Lou Williams isn't playing minutes. He's not playing well. Harold does not look like himself since coming back to the bubble. You know, Paul George is here one day, gone the other. I like Zubac, but he can't defend other bigs. Like, there's just something missing from this team. And I've been pro Clippers all year, but it's hard to it's hard for me to make an argument over them beating LeBron right now.
Yeah, especially like with the Clippers or the Lakers secondary pieces, like knowing their role. They're not as talented, but they've got a good bench in their own right in terms of guys that can, again, that know their role.
Playoff
I don't,
Rondo, if he's a real thing, too.
yeah, and I don't want to be prisoner of the moment because the Clippers have just lost 2 games, but I do think they have real problems against LeBron and AD, who also looks good. Like he looks better than Paul George, that's for sure.
AD does look good. Definitely looks better than Paul George. No questions about it. Kawhi is the guy who can give LeBron a hard time, so AD is going to have to play well. And if AD plays well, then I do think I give the Lakers. If AD plays well, the Lakers win.
Yeah, so and they dismantled Houston pretty easily too. Like it was almost the same series as Portland. After the teams won game 1, it was like the Lakers just went 4 in a row pretty easily. You know?
The Lakers were going to win that series no matter what, but it's crazy how the loss of a Daniel House can like kill the momentum that the Rockets even had. Like you could tell, like they just mentally like just died after that. Which not saying that it was the only thing, but that's kind of weak, right? You know what I mean? For like that, the loss of Daniel House is why just guys stopped playing well. It was interesting. They got just creamed by the Lakers.
Yeah, and it's it was I was saying this to you like that it was the first time that Westbrook and LeBron faced off in the playoffs since like the finals, and LeBron really owned Westbrook in this series. I would have loved to have like them meet in the playoffs when LeBron was on the Cavs with how much shit Westbrook talks. And I love watching Westbrook play. I respect the hell out of him. But like you've said a lot, he's he's like a mini Giannis, which is in a lot of ways like a mini LeBron. LeBron is just bigger and better than Westbrook and basically everything. And that's no knock on Westbrook.
Well, what LeBron did in the second half of his career, similar to MJ, is really became a significantly better shooter once the athleticism started to go away. Like every single human being that's ever walked the face of the earth, right? Like your athleticism has a tendency to go away. But he became a much better shooter. Westbrook never did, right? Like he's still athletic. He can still get to the hole, but if the guy could ever learn to shoot better, he'd be very, very dominant. And we'll see what Giannis does. His shooting has improved in a lot of ways, but he still is far from a good shooter.
LeBron can like pull up from 3. He's not like a Klay Thompson shooter, but he can like pull up from 3 and like he can get hot and like carry your team that way. And he also can still definitely get to the hole. Like he's oh, I thought you were saying me 1 second, but you're obviously not. LeBron can still get to the hole. He's not what he used to be, but I mean, LeBron is a specimen. It's fun to watch. I hope that's the other reason why I think we're saying, oh, it's got to be the Clippers, is because we naturally want the Clippers. We want to see the Clippers versus the Lakers. And Max was making the point, Kellerman, Stephen A. and him were talking, and Stephen A. said this is a legacy game for Kawhi. Not if they win, but if they lose, like they cannot lose this game. And Max was like, agreed, but he was like, he has one out if Denver wins this game and then beats the Lakers. And I'm sitting there, okay, yes, but like they got no shot to beat the Lakers, in my opinion. And I know I'm saying that knowing that they're in game 7 against the Clippers, and I'm not giving them much shot to win this game. So they could easily win. And then to prove me wrong here, I can't see them beating the Lakers personally.
Like the only real knock on Kawhi's career right now is the kind of like whining his way out of San Antonio and not playing every game. Because other than that, he's been relatively flawless. If they lose this series, all of a sudden, that is a blemish, on his career. And again, if the Nuggets were to take out the Lakers, I think it definitely dissipates. But this is kind of a legacy game for him in a weird way because if they win, it's no big deal. It doesn't add anything. But if he loses, it's a very LeBron-ish, early in his career type of like black check mark.
Yeah, and like this is why Kawhi will never be like LeBron to me. I get it. If he wins a couple titles here, things can change. but because, and Stephen A. made this point, which I agree with, the pressure that's on Kawhi like tonight is unlike pressure that's been on Kawhi for most of his career. This is the type of pressure that's been on LeBron his entire career. Like Kawhi was awesome with the Spurs, but even going into that Miami series, he was like their third best player. He ended up, evolving and becoming the guy. But LeBron's been the guy since he was the number one pick in the draft.
For sure. Although Kawhi still has a lot of years left, maybe, if those knees will hold up, right? Yeah. But if he wins a championship this year, and you're like, man, Clippers, Spurs, Raptors, he's just jumping teams and bringing rings to people left and right. That's good.
If he beats LeBron this year, that will seriously change the argument, I think. I mean, it has to. It's the first time they'll have gone like one-on-one, we need this to happen.
Yes, I will be very and again, there's I like the Nuggets more than I like the Clippers, right? Like who I root for, I don't like the Clippers, but I want to see Clippers Lakers is what I want to see. It's what we've all wanted to see all season long. Don't let us down, Kawhi and the gang. We got to see this.
The only reason that I'm kind of like, man, the one part of me that wants the Clippers to lose is so people can shut up about Kawhi being as good as LeBron.
Yeah, I like LeBron. I think you're a little bigger LeBron fan being a Cleveland guy, but I'm a LeBron fan as well.
You're a LeBron fan.
Yeah, I want to see Clippers Lakers. Just what it is.
Yeah, same. So I hope it happens. We'll see tonight. At least we got NBA 2-game slate, so that's awesome.
All right, guys, rock and roll. Thank you very much. We'll talk to y'all later.
Thanks, guys.